Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's awesome episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and as you can see by the screen, I have a tremendous amount of esteemed panel members to help us power through this 2+ hour show where we're going to be breaking down all of the hottest news in gaming, and we're going to start off with the hot topic or the hot button topic, and that is the release of Final Fantasy VII. But before we get into that, let's get into the introductions. Now, obviously, you know him as our resident trophy hunter. He's also someone that stands strong and represents the PlayStation brand to its fullest. Please welcome BitCloud Gaming.
What's up? What's up? Good morning. Let's definitely have a good show.
Well, it's great to have you here. I know that there's a lot to be excited about, especially on the PlayStation side of things, because obviously earlier this week we had the introduction of the new controller. You used your unbelievable skills to make yourself your very own BitCloud Gaming controller, which looked absolutely dope. So we're going to get into we're going to do a little controller talk, but we're going to get right into the rest of the program as soon as we're done with the intros. Next up, now this gentleman has been making the rounds, and his is, I believe, his third podcast with me this week alone, and I cannot thank him enough for not only his incredible insight, but more so that he is a fair-minded gamer. Please welcome to the program, Mr. Badbit.
It has been. I think I've been on all the programs.
Yes, you certainly have. And by the way, the messages that I have getting, people are really enjoying your banter.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody. Yeah, I'm getting the same. I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I appreciate all the comments. Thank you all so much. I'm excited to be here once again. You know, I don't have coffee again. I still have water. Breakfast with Boom. I can't do it with water next time. I gotta do it nice cup. But yeah.
And next up, finally, making his return appearance, someone that I absolutely say that not only does he have the best picture when he's on this program, with someone getting the backslap that they deserve, but his opinion within the gaming community is not only well documented, but it's also well respected. Please welcome back Slow-Mo Backslap.
Yo, what's up, Boom? What's up, Bad Bit? What's up, Bito Cloudo? What's going on, guys? Look, I apologize for my voice. I am dead tired. I've been playing.
What were you doing
I've been playing
so tired?
Final Fantasy VII all night long. I am only here because there is a IV with coffee going directly to my veins right now.
How long were you staying up playing?
Man, I stayed up to about 3:30 in the morning playing.
Yikes, dude. That's a sign of a true gamer. Sometimes you just cannot put it down. And listen, we're going to get into why you couldn't put it down in a second. Now, we do have one more panel member on his way. Gaming Forte will be making his guest appearance once again. As soon as he gets here, we'll give him the proper introduction. But, let's get into the hot topic. The hot topic of the week, besides the, obviously the release of the Dual Sense controller, even though that is we consider a hot button topic, I want to bring Final Fantasy into the conversation because, quite frankly, I have talked about my personal experiences with this franchise, with this particular game in the Final Fantasy franchise. The love and admiration that I personally have for it might be second to none. I obviously talked about when it first released. On the PlayStation, I had imported it from Japan, and somehow or another was able to beat it with a buddy of mine who his name is Mike, and we actually got the translations from downloading all of the game facts, and basically we were able to. I mean, it took a little bit longer. We beat it in Japanese. And then when it came out to America, I beat it again. And I have to tell you, not only did I buy it once on the PlayStation 4, I actually just bought it seconds before we went live because I was able to snag the deluxe edition, which I'm going to wind up either returning or doing some sort of a giveaway for Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 4 later on in the week. I have to see what the money situation looks like, but I could not resist that deluxe edition. And I'm looking forward to really getting into it. But I want to hear from Slow Mo Backslap, because obviously now that we're all stuck at home because of the current world pandemic, it makes playing gaming easier, but also opens the door to stay up later, which is exactly what you did. How has been what's your experience with Final Fantasy VII? Did Square Enix deliver on the promise of remaking this game with the fans in mind?
I'm going to say so far with just about a little under 4 hours of gameplay, yes, they did, and I'm really enjoying this game, and with just having played the original game about half a dozen times in my lifetime over the past 23 years, and then being able to just get back into it, see these characters almost like with a level of like Advent Children. Have you anyone seen the movie Final Fantasy VII?
That's exactly what it reminds me of. Yes.
Yeah, just with that level of quality, it's freaking amazing. I'm just in love with it right now. Yeah.
In terms of voice acting,
top notch.
Top notch, because
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they had to take the idea of what you think Cloud sounds like, how you think Tifa sounds like, and then throw that into these voice actors have to use that nostalgia somehow in their favor. And
they nailed all of them. They nailed like literally every single character's voice actor it's like perfect for what I expected that character to be, especially Barrett. Like Barrett's voice actor kills it, because it's just like that over the top, just bombastic yelling, and it's just like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I thought he would sound like if I could hear him on my PlayStation 1. But it's I mean, it's not perfect. There are times where like you're looking at it's environment stuff, where it seems like they put so much detail into the characters that they did not have. Like there's some parts of the environments that you'll go through and you'll be like, oh, that's got a surprisingly low number of pixels and polygons on that. Like, or you're just like, for example, when you and this isn't really a spoiler, but you go to Cloud's like apartment, his home and
bachelor pad,
and his door. Oh man, it looks like I made his door in that game. Like it's I'm like, and there's just every now and then you'll see like a rock, and you're just like, what? Did someone forget to put textures on this or something? Like, but I think it's more of the limitations of the hardware and the fact that the characters look so great, that they are detailed so well. Square Enix even had a entire lighting team, and the team's entire job was just to put lighting on everything they saw in the game, and just that level of detail alone just like really makes me understand why, like, just when you're putting that much detail in it on hardware that is in some cases for especially for me, because I'm using a base PS4 7 years old, you're gonna have some drawbacks here and there. But I even heard that like on the PS4 Pro, like you'll see every now and then there's an item that's just like, whoa, that doesn't look like it should even be in this in this game. Did someone make that in Dreams? Like it just looks that bad every now and then. But it looks amazing. It runs amazing. I haven't had any frame rate drops. The combat's awesome. I'm at the point now, I mean, just in like 3 or 4 hours where I'm with Cloud, I'm switching between predator mode and operator mode like nothing. Like I dive into combat as operator, start doing some damage, and then switch to predator and just immediately just start crushing people. Just getting into the mess around with materia, mess around with getting newer materia, some that basically will just work in the background passively while I'm fighting. Tifa, so far I've used just Barrett and Tifa so far, but they're everyone is different in a sense. Like when you have to hit triangle for whatever their special ability is, like what I just talked about Predator in operator mode with Cloud, that's just him. With Barrett, he has overheat, where once his meter goes up, you can press triangle and he'll do this huge shot. And that's not even in addition to him being able to have his other special moves. Tifa has an uppercut that pretty much you can just basically use every time you end the combo. It's a lot of fun. Combat's a ton of fun. I really didn't do too much of the main story because I was just so wrapped up in being in the slums and doing all these side quests. And
I got a question for you here.
Characters, yeah.
When it comes to story, without any spoilers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel for you so far? Have you noticed or seen any of the changes yet? Does it age well?
There's a lot of changes. This is more of a reimagining than just a straight up remake. Because look, like people have to we have to break it down of like whenever an old game comes back, what it is and how it can be determined whether it's a game of the year contender or have they done enough to make it different enough that it deserves to be in that conversation. You have your remasters, which is essentially like we've done nothing different. There's just a resolution and texture bump. There's your remaster. It's the same exact game, same exact code of whatever that old game was. Then you have your remakes, which this is called one, but I think it's a bit different. But your remakes are literally the same exact story, just that they redid everything with from the ground up, redid environments, redid character models, all that stuff. All that stuff is being made with current day in mind. But this is, in a sense, a little bit like how Resident Evil 3 is a little bit of a reimagining, because they took, but with Resident Evil 3 they kind of took some things out of what Resident Evil Nemesis was. But with this is just them adding tons and tons of content. There's characters that I don't even really recall being in the original game. They're just showing up, and you have side missions that involve them or other characters that are just a part of the story that you speak to. And it's just I mean, like the Avalanche group, these guys basically had maybe like 20 lines of dialogue in the entire original game, and they have their own personalities. They have their own side stories. I haven't got too deep into it. I have heard that like you can see where Jessie lives and go visit her. You can, I mean, already with Biggs and Wedge, I have had tons of conversations with these guys, and I have an idea of their personalities. Whereas with the original game, I'm just like, well, Biggs is the skinny one, and Wedge is the chunky sprite. And so like that's how I know the difference between the two. And it's like now, no, I really know the difference. I even can tell the Wedge voice actor is a guy that was in Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
like
Badger. Right?
Oh wow.
Yeah. I knew his voice immediately when he started talking. I was like, oh no, I know that guy. But like I said, I'm enjoying the hell out of this.
That's
game.
awesome, dude.
This is currently my game of the year.
That's all, because like that, for the thing that gets me excited, because I've never played Final Fantasy VII. I've played the demo. I played the demo at PAX. Seeing everybody just like my co-host on the Trophy Room, he is utterly in love with this game, and seeing him at PAX play it, and he has like the dumbest grin on his face. It's just like that's why video games are awesome, and you get reminded of that. And that's the thing that's selling me is not so much the game itself, though it's fantastic from what I've played. It's everybody's not hype, but just joy for this game. And I we talk about what's going on right now, and like this is the greatest escape from it. Is you're reliving your childhood, and at the same exact time you're being teleported to a fantasy world of Midgar. Like that's awesome. I'm pumped. I can't wait. Sadly, I gotta wait till Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you know what's coming though. I mean, that's really the important thing. Unfortunately, I mean, listen, there's so much to play, and this is going to go into my spiel of why if possible, if financially possible, it's really behooves you as a gamer to own multiple consoles. Simply because this is, I mean, look, I bought it twice already. Now, again, granted, it was, you know, I didn't know I was going to be able to get the deluxe edition, which someone had put it on. I think it was Optimus Code that put it out there, and I saw it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Like I got to have that, and I was able to get it surprisingly enough. So it doesn't sadden me at all. But this is a perfect example of if somehow you like to consider yourself, and I'm not saying a real gamer owns multiple consoles. Some people just can't do it because of financial reasons, and that's understandable. But if you want to open your ability to play multiple games on multiple consoles that one console that you have doesn't and the other one has, this is a great example of that, because there are a lot of Xbox players who I guarantee you are not going to wait. Or if they're fans of this particular brand of gaming, meaning JRPGs, they're not going to want to wait. Now, real quick, before I get to BitCloud, I just want to catch up on a few super chats. First of all, I have to publicly apologize, but also thank Jesse Darby, because yesterday, as the show was closing, he dropped an outstanding $10 super chat, and unfortunately, I did not see it trying to close out the show. So, Jesse, I want to thank you for your absolute generosity. You were always here in the chat, and I want to make sure that I give you the proper shout out you deserve. So, thank you once again for that. Tempest Sun, a good friend of ours. I think you might know this gentleman. He is on Primetime Gaming with me and plenty of other awesome gamers every Monday evening. He drops a $2 super chat and says, Tifa Lockhart, though, 12 out of 10 would play again. And yeah, listen, I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. Like I said, having it in a physical form and not being able to open it, because I'm probably going to return it to Amazon, is gonna upset me, because I really want to play this game. But BitCloud, I want to get your opinion and, of course, gauge your excitement levels, because, like, right now, it's hard to sometimes fathom that a game as old as this could live up to decades worth of expectations. And Final Fantasy Remake, the Metacritic scores currently are an 87. And obviously, listen, we all know that they're just numbers, and for the most part probably don't mean that much for a lot of people. I mean, the way that the way that Slow-Mo was talking about it, it sounds like a 10 out of 10 to me. And I cannot wait to actually experience it myself. But what are your thoughts and, of course, excitement levels for Final Fantasy VII? Did you get your hands on it yet? And which version did you buy?
I never really got into the franchise, but
Okay.
like we said numerous times on this channel, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
It certainly is.
And you know, we see that with Resident Evil. We talk Resident Evil all day. Like it's we see it with that, and of course Dino Crisis is what we want, but it's a hell of a drug. Now, as far as Metacritic scores, a lot of people put faith in those to either push agendas or just hide behind them. Again, I don't put stock into that stuff, but
yeah, I agree.
People tend to follow on those. Again, the only score that matters is you.
Yep.
Exactly. That's a great
really
point.
Like,
great point.
Yeah, the only score that matters is you. Like, if that was the case, I shouldn't like the Order 1886. And both of you know,
we love that game. OPS, by the way.
That was a decent game. It hopefully will get a sequel. Yeah.
I hope so.
It deserves one.
With
that ending was ridiculous.
They might get it though. I don't know. We'll see.
I hope so, man.
You know, it's interesting because I've seen some people out there say, "Oh, it's just an 87. That's not Game of the Year worthy." I'm like,
bullshit.
Y'all remember what happened last year? It was like half the games that were in Game of the Year as nominees were under 85, right?
Yeah, there was well, I mean, I think the lowest one was Control, which 80, and 82. And I gotta be honest with you, at first, without playing it, I was like, yeah, because I'm a big Remedy fan. Everyone knows that. I talk about them all the time. I'm like, I'm going to wait on this game. You know, there's a lot of us, but I have to tell you, after playing through that game, my God, it's so good. And I think it's available in PS Now. So if you have not played that game, please, and you have PS Now, you owe it to yourself. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Remedy's doing great things there. I mean, they got that deal with Epic now.
Yes, and that's a big deal.
New IPs coming up soon. Yeah, they're doing good things. Back to Final Fantasy. I did have a question for you guys because it's something that I noticed with. I did a video on Final Fantasy VII earlier this week, and I guess I kind of sparked some issues with a certain rabid Final Fantasy community. No, look, I've been a big fan of Final Fantasy for a long time. It's the very first RPG I ever played was Final Fantasy IV, which was Final Fantasy II over here on the
Yes.
Super Nintendo.
Mhm.
But I haven't really enjoyed the Final Fantasy since 9. So for me, to be really enjoying this is it's a little different for me because, like, for the most part, in the past generation and a half of Square Enix making Final Fantasy, I've been like, they trash. So
yeah, I'd agree.
So for me to play this, and what I'm trying to bring up here is that, like, in my comments of my video, is that I got so much backlash and anger and like vitriol from people who were upset that they would have the audacity to change anything in the story.
You
That they
have
would have the
to. Sorry.
audacity to make this in parts instead of having it all together. And I really feel like, and I want to kind of spark the conversation with you guys, what you guys feel about it, but I really feel like it's two things here. One, why would anyone want to play literally the exact same game in just better visual quality and literally the exact same combat? I don't get that. Like,
I think it's just people are so worried because we see it all the time, right? Like, developer, like, easy, like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, right? Remaster right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can argue that's just a simple cash grab by Activision, right?
Right.
Like, you see this all the time where, like, developers or publishers make ports and then overcharge you for them. Actually, Switch is just the perfect example. Like Tropical Freeze was on the Wii U was $50, and then when it re-released on Switch, it was 60. Like, they like to upcharge you for things, and I think people were very nervous at the fact of Square going out and saying that this is going to be episodic, as them trying to kind of squeeze you for all you're worth kind of thing. And from what it sounds like, from what you've been saying, is no, they're actually, Final Fantasy VII is a huge game even for its time, and there's still things that need to be modernized, that characters, for example, we need to give them proper backstory and stuff. So for me, I'm not worried about that one bit, and at the end of the day, it's like, it's their creative vision. So for me, I'm not too worried about, like, it being episodic or it being chopped up into parts. As long as those parts are fun, I don't care.
It's going to come down to how they do it. If they do it with respect to both the fan and the game, then it's going to be fine, because this is obviously the original game was very large. It was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was on 3 discs, right?
Yeah.
And as we are in 2020, graphics have gotten significantly bigger. Games have gotten significantly bigger. And actually, we talked about this, I believe it was maybe either last week or the week before, about how the director said that they just could not put everything in the game that they wanted on one disc. It just was literally impossible. So they wanted to break it up. Now, I will say this. I hope that this isn't typical Square. And what I mean by that is getting a game to come out, and it, obviously when they normally tell you a game is coming out, it takes 5, 6, 7, sometimes even as much as 10 years, right? My only major concern has nothing to do with the materia, with the graphics, with textures not being that good in certain aspects of the game. None of that bothers me at all. It's going to be an amazing game. The demo was amazing. My fear, my concern, and I think a lot of people in the chat and in the gaming community at large, when do we get the second part? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Is it 6 years? Do we have to wait 7.5 years? I don't know. And I really wish Square would be a little bit more forthcoming. Once once the launch comes out, once the official score comes out, and everyone's raving about this game, which I believe people are going to be doing, they need to at least let the fan base know, say, listen, we understand your concerns. This is, we have a plan right now. We're looking for X year, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I that's my only concern. But real quick, let me just.
One thing is, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's all right, Big Tom.
Oh no, one thing I was going to say about that. So again, this is part 1, part 2, and I don't know how many parts there's going to be to this game because they pretty much charge you $60 for 1/10 of it so far, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
We don't know how many installments they're going to do, but one thing is for certain: the main package is more likely going to be complete on the next gen.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm wondering they're gonna use that as like a bargaining tool to make you jump to the next gen. Like, hey guys, yeah, this is what it looks like here, but it could look like this on Series X or PS5. You know, and
it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they play this out because they're going to have to. They really have to walk. They're going to be walking on a landmine field.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, and they have to be real careful about how they. Not so much price things, but how they talk about it. Their messaging has to be on point, or people are going to revolt in the streets.
That's where my biggest fear is too for that franchise so far. Because you remember again, 1/10 for $60. Are they charging you $60 for each installment?
If there's 10 installments, it's a $600 game.
I was saying that. You imagine the full edition. They always have the deluxe edition where they have every installment. I imagine how much that's going to be. It's like
you can get it for $800.
Yeah, I'm on the record for saying I really feel like the additional installments should be at a lesser price.
They absolutely should. I agree. That's a great point.
Because at this point, it's like, especially if you are someone who didn't play the original, or like it's just like this is a continuation on a previous game, or a previous installment. To have it at 60, it just seems. It seems egregious, and I know that also is depending on how much content is in there. But just the sheer fact that you started this game on another $60 price tag, I think it should be like 40 or something or 30 for the additional installments. Especially considering that you're going to have people. The only people who are going to be playing the additional ones are going to be people who've already played the original. So I feel like that should be something that they should do. And I also feel like hopefully, I know for a fact that they said that they were already working on part 2 as late as October or maybe September of last year. I can't remember when I saw the arc. I think it was probably October. But
yeah,
they've been working on part 2. So hopefully that is. I mean, the engine they're using Unreal Engine. So they didn't have to make that. So that's less time that's being used.
And you gotta think
already
yeah. Sorry, I can't cut you off there. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of assets have already been made and done in part 1. It's not going to take them 5 years to do a part 2, as long as it took them to do part 1, especially considering that first 2 years were a wash because they had it outsourced to this other dev that completely ished the bed, and then they had to just bring it in house. And so they really only have been working on it for 3 years so far. I'm thinking they may already have part 2 out by next year. I was
kind of thinking. Yeah,
but I'm thinking hopefully part 2's out next year, and then if part 2 can take over, let me not say specific places in the game or story points, but if they could wrap it all up in 2 or 3 parts,
I'd like to see them do it in 3. I'd like to see them do it in 3.
3 at the most. 3.
Yeah, I know. I agree, Mr. Bed. But I'm going to get to you right now. But let me just catch up on some of the super chats. First of all, Optimus Code, who I just mentioned live on the air, who it's his fault that I bought the deluxe edition, which he displayed very nicely on Twitter. He says this: let's have a nice spoiler-free episode, please. Looking at you, Slow-Mo, and he just did that. Slow-Mo kind of just pulled it back because he was going to say a few things, but he pulled it back. Great show so far, yo. Well, thank you for your generosity. Thank you for listening. We do appreciate it. And my very good friend Fastback OG drops a $5 super chat and says, "Good morning, Breakfast with Boom panel and chat. Stay safe. Enjoy these games no matter what, where, and how you play. WDFC Just Game." I love it. Thank you so much. And Joe, I just want to read some of the I want to read what the critics are saying about this game, and I didn't get your opinion on it. And here's some of the quotes: "With smart and surprising additions to a classic world and its inhabitants, Final Fantasy VII Remake artfully appeals to nostalgia without being bound to it," writes Joe Joba, who works at Game Informer. He reviewed it at an 8.75 out of 10. Video Games Chronicles John Bayliss adds in his 5-star critique, "What's here right now is a partial reformed classic, updated and expanded in every direction, at times to the point of overinflation, but with extraordinary ambition and care that we can't help but love." And in her review, which awards a recommended rating, Ulfi Wilson assures that Final Fantasy VII Remake does justice to the original, describing the experience as emotional, even if the remake makes a few missteps along the way. And lastly, for the most part, at least, the spirit and tone of the original Final Fantasy VII is perfectly preserved, she writes. "Dare I say, the remake even manages to frequently improve upon the original's telling of the story." And you know what? That sounds pretty great to me.
Yep.
Mr. Badbit, now you admittedly said that you haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII.
Mhm.
So I'm interested to get your take, and more so your temperature level, for what your excitement is for this game that obviously is being, I mean, like, the nostalgia factor is really the driving force behind this, because if we remember what the original looked like as to what they're displaying now, and I'm going to bring up a screen that I pulled from, so somebody posted it on on Twitter. I mean, wow, that is absolutely incredible. Where
that's
are you
how
at?
the game looks. That's how the game looks.
Yes. So where's your head at
24/7,
right now, Joe?
So here's the deal, gang. I have never really gotten into Final Fantasy. I've tried Final Fantasy 14, the online game, and I was
Not
like,
good. I'm
this
sorry. I
is-
know a lot of people like that. I don't, but
Whew,
go ahead.
okay, thank God. Thank God I'm not alone in that assessment. But I'm not going to get the death threats. You are, man. They're adamant about that game, man. Shadowbringers and whatnot. I tried Final Fantasy 15. I did not like that game whatsoever. And
Neither.
okay, good. I'll take the criticism. That game was yikes. And with that said, Final Fantasy 7 shows up. And you know, my co-host on the trophy room, Kyle, this is his favorite game of all time. Like, this is the game that got him into games, so it means a lot to him. And so it's his enthusiasm that got me really into this game, or excited for it rather. So playing it at PAX, it was a very weird demo. It was not the one that we all got to play. It was literally, they dropped you in the Scorpion fight, and I was just like, I don't know how to feel about this game, because they didn't really teach me or show me anything, and I had no idea what to do because I'd never played that fight. So I came off going, all right, okay, cool. And then I played the demo, and then I played the demo again, and then I played it again, and then again. So I am all in on this game. This is one of the games that I'm most excited for, and it's killing me that I have to wait till Tuesday to play it. It's literally, you know, I know I'm the Sony guy, but like, I'm way more excited for this game or even Cyberpunk than Last of Us, because I know what The Last of Us is. I've never experienced Final Fantasy 7 before. So for me, this is like I'm entering in a new game. And so I'm totally down on that. When I see the reviews, I'm never like, you'll never see me, unless it's like Bloodborne or something, post on Twitter going, look at the score of this game, take that, whoever cares. So like, for me, yeah, like, there are games that I find fun that are like a 6, or like IGN gave it a 6. Like, I enjoyed Death Stranding for the complete and utter opposite reasons why IGN didn't like it. And that didn't take my experience away from it. I listened to Skilled Up, and I think his name's AKG, or yeah, on YouTube. Those are my go-to reviewers. I love them. They go in depth, and a lot of people I think miss out on the point. Reviews shouldn't be taken as like the Metacritic is this. It's who do you trust? There are voices out there that if you're going to them, they're into the same type of games you are, or they hit the points that you're interested in, and you should be taking their advice over than what the broad consensus is.
Yes.
So even if
that's a great point.
Even if this game got a 7, I'd be all over it. It looks beautiful. Cloud, look at him. He's a cute boy. Aerith, she's cute, but like it's Tifa. Tifa's where it's at, y'all.
Yeah, like, everyone loves Tifa. Who doesn't love Tifa?
Tifa's amazing.
There you go.
I bet she is.
Here's a question I have, and I know I'm probably only speaking really to Boom with this because I know Babbitt and Big Cloud, you guys aren't really big Final Fantasy fans. I don't know if you guys even played the original, but there's this thought that, and I see it like again. I mentioned the ridiculous comments I got on my videos about the game. How people are just really super angry about them changing parts of the story, and I wonder why people have an issue with that. I would want. Me personally, someone who's played the game half a dozen times, I want something different. Now, I'm not saying
following the story beats, beat to beat. I'm okay with a little change.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really looking forward to is seeing some of the change. Like I've already seen some of the changes, but seeing some of the other changes with the story that really are. Some of it resonates with me. Some of it seems like kind of similar to the Kingdom Hearts in a bit. I don't want to get into details because then I'll get like 20 Twitter messages from Code about spoilers. But I just, me personally, as someone who's played the original game, I wanted more than just amazing graphics and seeing the same world, same exact dialogue, same exact choices and story being done with just better visuals. I wanted to see something different. I wanted some surprises to happen for me instead of just here's that part where this happens. Oh, here's that part where this happens. I mean, like literally the very first mission, that mission where you blow up the Mako reactor. I'm not gonna say that's a spoiler. That's in the daggone demo.
I mean, it's in the demo.
Yeah, and that in the original game took at the most 10 minutes. That's 45 minutes to an hour in the remake, and then even after that, it maybe took you 5 minutes to get from the reactor to the bar Seventh Heaven. And in the remake, that takes another like 30-40 minutes. So
Yikes.
there is a lot more content here than what we got in the original game. And I know that may not resonate with some people. I'm not saying anyone's opinion is invalid for wanting the exact original game, but I just kind of feel like I guess I just want to know where people are coming from, why people feel that way. Because I see a lot of anger and like, it's not the Final Fantasy VII I remember. And I'm like, well, I mean,
what are you gonna do? I mean,
yeah, why do you feel so strongly about this? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just think it's
no. I mean, listen, I'm gonna say this. The game for the most part is going to more than likely follow what we all know and love. But there are going to be little aspects that I think are changed, not for the sake of changing, but for the sake of making it more modernly understandable. You got to remember, this game is freaking old, man. I mean, things are going to change. And from what I've played, I am going to say this. What I do appreciate, and I didn't do this in the demo, I don't like the hack and slash kind of combat for it. I want to go and use the old school turn-based stuff. Now, maybe because I'm an old man, I know the ability to do that is there, and that's probably how I'm going to play the game. But I like that they if you just look at that particular aspect of it, they gave the ability for people who enjoyed Final Fantasy 15's combat to play this old game in a new way. And the old bastards like us who might want to just be, press the button and watch them do their stuff. That's how I want to play, because that's how I remember playing it. And I'll try it the other way. And who knows, I actually might like it, but I didn't care for it in them. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'd rather do it the old way. And that's how I'm probably going to play. But I don't want to spend too much time. We spent 40 minutes on this topic, and I'm not sad about it because, quite frankly, it's an amazing game, and I'm glad we were able to get out there and talk about it. But real quick, before we move on to the next topic, and it's a small topic, one I've been trying to use for a week. It's always got slid to the back, so I'm gonna use it in a second. Sin Vendetta drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says this: by the time I'm done with Neo 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake will probably be on Xbox, so I'll eventually get it there. I'm going to buy it there too. And J-Mo Money drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat and says this: Final Fantasy VI for life, dunking for slow-mo backslap. Now, I'm not sure. Is he talking about coffee?
Yeah, he's talking about coffee. He's talking about that. I have a bit of a debate going on Twitter with like who has the best iced coffee out there.
You know something? I am a huge coffee fan. Huge. And do you know that to this day, I'm going to be 50 in September. I have never had iced coffee ever. I have to jump into this world of iced coffee.
You gotta try it. Look, man. Last year was like my first time trying it, and I just kind of don't want to go back now.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna try it. God damn it! I'm gonna try it because I have to see it. Yeah. Okay. I like Starbucks too. I do. I like whenever I get a migraine and I drink a Starbucks coffee, it's gone. That's a trick. I take that with a couple of Advils and we're good. Real quick, Chaos Theory drops a $2 super chat and says this: can't wait to get my hands on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes, dude, thank you for your generosity. Thank you for being here. And of course, yes, I agree with you. But look, I want to move on to the next topic. And I'll say this: if loving The Evil Dead with its 3 films and incredible Showtime series, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, wasn't enough for you as a horror fan, well, Mortal Kombat fans have something to look forward to. And if there's one thing that stands out about the Mortal Kombat series as a whole, it's always been their guest characters. And Mortal Kombat 11 has them in spades. And well, thanks to a leaked email, we now know that Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams has been basically confirmed to be a part of the next round of fighters for the long-running franchise. And a new leak points to this not being Evil Dead's Ash from Evil Dead, but from Army of Darkness. Now, I don't understand what the difference is. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I've watched the films 100 times a piece. And if you remember, Bruce Campbell went actually on social media and said, "No, it's not. Ash from the Evil Dead is not going to be in Mortal Kombat." And I guess he was being a little cheeky because the way that he's portrayed in the Army of Darkness, that Ash is going to be in, of course, Mortal Kombat 11. And some new Mortal Kombat 11 advertisements for the Spawn DLC have included a blurb in the copyright section about Ash from the Army of Darkness. And while it's possible that this is a mistake, which I highly doubt, there has been some new information that not only talks about Ash, but talks about Shiva making a return, as well as who's the other character that's going to be in there? Included fighters from Army Shiva, okay, and Fujin. Fujin is also making a return now. Both Shiva. Yeah, and I dig Fujin. Shiva was first appeared in Mortal Kombat 4, if you remember that far back, and the OG fighter Fujin is returning, who made his first appearance in MK2. So to bring those two particular fighters back along with Ash is going to be dope. So I mean, obviously, if this comes to fruition, and I believe it's going to, they're going to be joining the Joker, Spawn, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, Shang Tsung, Sindel, and Nightwolf. And I got to tell you, man, Mortal Kombat, the franchise as a whole, just seems to get it right with their guest characters, and of course, bringing back some OGs as well. So my question to the panel, and I'll start with Slow-Mo on this one. What are your thoughts on them not only bringing the two OGs back, but bringing Ash from the Evil Dead or the Army of Darkness more specifically? Are you excited to pick up Mortal Kombat and start playing again?
Now, I'm not a big Mortal Kombat fan, so I didn't pick up the game, and I'm usually like those other characters you mentioned, like Shiva, and I'm like, I think I know who that
She's
is.
the one with the white hair. The white hair.
Okay, I remember that character. Yeah,
The
yeah.
tornado.
But
tornado.
Yes.
but Ash, I know who Ash is.
Yeah, I was like, you sure?
Yo, Army of Darkness is one of my favorite movies. Army of Darkness is so funny, it's hilarious.
It's so
Like,
campy. It's so B. So such a B movie that all you can do is laugh.
yeah, there's some lines in there that are just immortal. Like those lines will just like live on forever. Anytime anyone says, "This is my boomstick,"
Yeah.
people know exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about, what movie it is, what scene it is. When he goes, "Hail to the king, baby." Like, of those kind of lines. It's just like, it's so cheesy, but the way Bruce Campbell delivered it, it was just like, this role was perfect for this guy. If they can get Bruce Campbell in, and like in the middle of Mortal Kombat, like you fighting with him, he's saying some of that kind of stuff, that the hilarious stuff, I might actually pick the game up just to play with him, just to play with him alone, because he's that hilarious. That movie is if anyone has, I know it's been a bit old. It's like the 90s, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know, I'm pretty sure we got some youngins in the chat that haven't seen it. Go watch Army of Darkness. Trust me, you will not you won't be
disappointed. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I put it to this way: the Mr. Boomstick XL was founded by my love of Evil Dead. That's where this comes from, because of "this is my boomstick" line. You see what I'm saying? So it does have relevance in real world use. Big Cloud, let me get your opinion on this. Again, not the biggest topic, but a fun one. And that's what we're all about, is having fun on these shows. Army of Darkness, obviously, is a very big, a very huge and very popular B-type movie. And to see that character of Ash Williams make its way to Mortal Kombat, which, again, notoriously has some of the best guest characters in all of fighting. What are your thoughts of the OG characters coming back, but more specifically of Ash Williams making his return, or his first appearance in Mortal Kombat, I should say?
Yeah, so him making his appearance in the game, that pretty much nails down all the iconic horror like characters, right? From that we can think of. And you know what that kind of tells me? It kind of tells me that NetherRealm should have made a you ever heard of Terradome?
Yes, I certainly have. Yes.
I would have loved to seen a Terradome game from NetherRealm.
Oh, wow, that'd be so dope, dude.
That'd be dope, dude. I think they can kill it just with the amount of guest characters that they've had. I mean, they've handled each particular guest character better than like games like Dead by Daylight. You remember that game, Dead by Daylight?
Yeah.
Ghostface trailer, and it's like the guy gets a knife and was like, "Wow!" So he bought a knife and stabbed you. So like, nah, they should have had like Ghostface. And Mortal Kombat, but real talk, they really know how to handle their guest characters. I think it's going to take a long time, though. Personally, in my personal opinion, at least I hope I'm not the only one who feels like this, but it's going to take a minute before they can top that Spawn trailer.
He might be one of the best characters that they've ever brought forward because of what he does.
Yes, like they really inspired me to just want to petition to have a game made off of that base model and off of that style that they went for, especially at the end of that trailer where Malboja is shown.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, I honestly think they should either work with other company to make that happen, or a company needs to sign a deal with them and just take that illustration and go to the next level with, because I'm telling you that we need a Spawn game like ASAP. We really do.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, I think it was on the 360 PS3 era, was it, that they had the Spawn game? It wasn't that good, but it was at least a Spawn game. The name. Yeah. It really was. What they have done. And what I really appreciate about NetherRealms is that when they do bring a guest character in, the lengths that they go to put that character on a pedestal is second to none. You got to remember, I mean, they can easily phone it in by having a guest character and really, pay attention to their own IP and go crazy, but every guest character, at least like even with the Joker, does the Joker really fit into Mortal Kombat? Well, in speaking out loud, maybe not, but the way that they do it, he's a part of the franchise, and it's just, I mean, the way again, the care and precision that are done with these characters and what they've done with Spawn, more specifically Spawn, I think they took it to the if you go from 1 to 10, I think they made it a 13 because they really went beyond what you could imagine Spawn could do in a fighting game. I'm hoping they bring that same energy to Ash Williams because he has the chainsaw, he has the boomstick, he has the Necronomicon, the Necronomicon, yes, which I have a replica of, believe it or not, and my wife won't let me display it because she's like, no, there's limitations.
Well, I mean, it's pretty hideous and horrifying.
It's the Necronomicon is
a fatality, pretty much. You think about it.
It has to be that you're getting eaten by that book or something, or something.
Or I'm summoning a demon and like the dead come and grab you or something.
I can't wait to see what they do. But yeah, it's
I didn't even sorry, I didn't get you.
No, yeah, it's all right.
I don't know. There's just only one character I don't really care for, and that's I don't know about you guys. I just never really cared for Shiva.
You know what? I could take her or leave her. I'll try her out. I mean, I play all the characters, but she's one of those characters that, like you just said, I can kind of take her or leave her. To be honest,
yeah, she's not Goro.
No. I mean, she is who she is. I mean, like I said, I appreciate that with the roster they already have, which is stout with characters. Forget just the guest characters, the Mortal Kombat franchise characters. There is something for everyone. Now, Shiva may not be your number one character, but I like that they're bringing her back.
Yeah, it's this variety. But do you guys think, like, especially with the new consoles, that we're seeing a trend here with like rosters getting bigger? For example, do you think they'll ever go back to like that Mortal Kombat Armageddon type of roster for future reference?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a great question.
World's a lot bigger, not more possibilities. And
it's the truth. I mean, the more powerful the consoles get, the larger,
wild, expansive, more power resources. I mean, I would love to see them do that, and then without a doubt, have these characters tacked on. I don't think anybody would disagree or would not be like, yeah, I want to buy this. Now if you have a big roster to go for, but you're having even more, and they're bringing much more variety to the actual roster. And again, it kind of makes you wonder again, what else kind of like characters would they even attempt to bring him back into this world? Like, you guys remember Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe?
Yeah.
Remember that? Like, they did a lot of cool stuff. Like, instead of fatalities, they had heroic brutalities.
Yeah, no, that was actually a good. Believe it or not, for what it was,
realistic.
It was a good game.
It was realistic for what it was. So again, it just I don't know. I'm really interested to see what they do next for sure with the license.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, the real question is, can they get bigger than this? Can Mortal Kombat 12 be bigger? Jeez, I don't know. I mean, that's a hard nut to crack. Mr. Badbit, let's get your final opinion on this so we can move on to one of the bigger topics. But before I get to you, I have to thank two more people once again. Sin Vendetta shows his outstanding generosity with an additional $5 Super Chat and says this: shout out to the Evil Dead reboot, which is a severely underrated and great horror film. I love it as much as the original film. Now, here's the thing. I'll say this about it. I like the direction. I like the way that they kind of changed it. I like it. I don't love it. I don't know if that's because I'm such a huge, Ash Williams fan. I'm not sure if I like the original trilogy better, but I definitely give you some props for that. And Siku Yumi drops a $2 super chat, says, Bad Bit, were you on my Xbox and Me Xbox and Me / other podcast?
I was. I don't know what other podcast is, but I had a brief stint on an Xbox podcast for sure. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Mr. MC Fixer, yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, now that we got you into the ring here, what are your thoughts on what they're doing with the next DLC or fighter pack, as they call it, bringing in Ash Williams from the Army of Darkness along with two really OG characters? are you a Mortal Kombat fan, and would you be interested in playing the new characters?
Here's something about me, gang. I am the worst fighter guy out there. Like I can't even button mash. It's really pathetic. Like Injustice 2, I was stuck on the tutorial. If that can, I think it was like jump and lower kick at the same time. I was like, what are you asking? So yeah, no, I'm horrible, but I appreciate Mortal Kombat. I appreciate NetherRealms, and yeah, what they're able to do with guest characters. To me, I know their next game isn't a fighter game. I would just like them to take something out of the DC universe and just make it their own, because yeah, like Big Cloud was saying, they're so good at these guest characters. You know that they love the IP that they're making.
Yeah,
right?
not true.
I'm not a big Spawn guy, but that Spawn trailer was dope as all hell. Like, and like even Bruce Campbell was like teasing this a few months back of like, yeah, I don't know, it'd be crazy. So I'm excited. I love to see the trailers of these games for sure, but I'm not the huge fighting guy.
All right, I mean, listen, that's perfectly fair. I mean, listen, not every, again, my saying that I should get a quarter for every time I say it, or at least get it put on a T-shirt. Not every game is for every gamer.
Oh yeah,
and that rings very true. But you know what? I want to move on to the next topic, because this is the bigger one, and it's a one that's very relevant, and one that is going to show up at the end of 2020 in most people's Game of the Year lists. Right now we are in a position where we have heard unofficially that it looks and it appears that because of the pandemic that's currently going on, any game past the month of May could potentially be delayed. And we're talking some big delays. Now, we've already seen, The Last of Us 2. We've already seen Iron Man VR, Wasteland 3. There are quite a few others. But one particular game that everyone pretty much just slam dunk said this is going to be delayed was CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077. And it turns out that this is a direct quote from the lead producer. We're motivated and have all the tools necessary to bring Cyberpunk 2077 out in September. And they're also confirming that it's going to have 2 major DLC expansions. Now, since mid-March, we have been. This is coming directly from them. The CEO of CD Projekt Red, Adam Kinski, who says this. And this is coming off of the 2019 financial report that was just published. Since mid-March, we have been working from home while ensuring continuity with all of our operators. We've been operating in this mode for over 3 weeks, and to date, results confirm that we can carry on with all our operations without major disruptions. Our goals have not changed. First and foremost, we intend to release Cyberpunk 2077 in September. We feel motivated. We have the necessary tools at our disposal to meet this goal. We also believe that it is our long-standing strategy to avoid debt, and accumulating cash reserves make us well prepared to meet any hardships which may be in store during these troubled times. Now, I'm going to say this. Not only does that speech give me goosebumps, because I cannot wait to get my hands on the collector's edition, which I was smart enough to pre-order last year, by the way. This is fantastic news. And obviously and just kind of regurgitating what he said about the uncertain times in the world where games are expected to be delayed due to COVID-19. Cyberpunk is one of the most anticipated games of 2020, and knowing that CD Projekt Red is confident, in air quotes, they will hit that September date is very reassuring. Now, I just kind of want to talk about real quick before I get to the chat and the panel. What's even more exciting, though, on this particular story, which I got this from 2 different locations, is that Cyberpunk 2077 will have 2 major DLCs being added to the already ridiculously huge title. And basically it's set to launch in 5 months after the release of Cyberpunk 2077. And even though we don't know exactly what's going to entail in this DLC, they are comparing it to the 2 DLCs released for The Witcher 3, and those were very hearty DLCs. Some even suggest that Blood and Wine, because I didn't play it, is probably the best part of that game. So to know that we are going to get 2 DLCs on that level has me ultra excited. So Slow-Mo, I think you are our resident Witcher 3 fan. Am I correct in saying so?
Look, I like Witcher 3. I have not completed the base game, so I am a bit of a fraud on that front. Luca loves the Ashton Luca. Shout out.
She's beaten it, I think, at least 3 times from what I understand.
Yeah, I think I've been spoiled with like half the game and the DLC due to her just gushing about it. But look, it's a quality RPG. It's just, I think now for me, unless it's Final Fantasy VII here, longer games. I think the longest game I've played this generation probably was Persona 5, and I am now kind of like, I guess, as I've gotten older, got a family, 3 kids, a wife, all this, full-time job, and all this stuff going on. I just tend to want to like play and finish a game that's shorter, like Control, like The Outer Worlds, like games that I can beat this in under 30 hours. Cool, good. When it's because when you have so little time to actually get things done, you're just like, oh man, I'm gonna be on this one game for 100+ hours. I can't see myself doing it, and that's The Witcher 3. And but from what I played of I've probably got about 15-20 hours into the base game. It's a good game. It's a really good game. Combat's, but the story and the world, the lore, it's freaking amazing. And that's CD Projekt Red they're really good at building those things. Like I'm ready for Cyberpunk, and I'm happy that they're saying that it's not going to be delayed any further, considering they already did delay. So yeah. Like they already got their delay out before all this stuff really hit. And I actually even saw them say that, what did they say? They said that the game was essentially ready. It's just, they're just going through bug fixes and stuff like that, polishing the game up perfect. That's what I like to hear. Because, The Witcher 3 came out. Witcher 3 had some issues. Like it took a while to get that game, fixed up and patched, and I would love to see this come out and just hit the ground running and don't need all those issues fixed that The Witcher 3 did.
I mean, listen, they've learned from Witcher 3 is considered by most game of the generation, right? And I'm not going to argue. I have, like you, Slow-Mo, I have 15, maybe 20 hours into The Witcher. I was a little overwhelmed with so much to do. I did not like the combat. I did not like having to put the solvents on the sword to fight a particular monster. The subset of making potions and crafting and stuff was so, in my opinion, I get it was overly complicated in my opinion, and that's fine. So I'll never finish The Witcher 3 because, quite frankly, it was too deep for its own good, but that is my opinion, and I'm perfectly fine with it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, boom. Have you played Witcher 2?
Yeah, it was even worse. Yes.
I was about to say it's even worse than Witcher 2.
I got to the first boss. I died 100 times, and I'm like, no, this just is not for me.
Yeah. Witcher 3's combat is a lot less complicated, I would say convoluted than The Witcher 2's. I remember playing The Witcher 2. I was at 4 hours into the game, and I remember having to go like all the way across the map to this other, like this cave or something, and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta fight enemies all the way there? No, not doing it. Not with this combat, I won't. And I just put the game down, never went back to it. But I was enjoying myself up till then, like with the opening the opening cinematic and the opening cutscenes, and it got me enthralled. I was hooked.
Game is gorgeous. The
Yeah.
cutscenes are amazing. The story and lore are second to none. But it's just I could not find, as much as I love open world games, and I'll easily drop, for instance, Horizon Zero Dawn, which is one of my favorite games this generation. I dumped 40, 50, 60, maybe 70 hours into that game. Because there's no really way to tell because there's no count. But I played that game till it was ridiculous. And I did not find anything I didn't like about it, even though there was crafting, even though there was a lot of stuff that was there. Nothing felt convoluted. The Witcher, unfortunately, at least for my play style and the way I like to play games, it just was overly complicated, especially like making potions. I just thought it was ridiculous. I really did. I know some people are like, well, boom, there's something wrong with you. It's easy. Well, then maybe there is something wrong with me, but it's fine. At least I bought the game.
It's a subjective thing. Like
yes.
Some people don't want to do all of that just to prepare for a particular battle, particular.
See, people are already Pixel Bit G. He says this. No, not like this, my man. Witcher 3 is amazing, bro. I mean, listen. Listen. I take nothing away from the game. If it's your game of the generation, I would not argue that point. Not even a second. But it's just I just fell off on it, and I would rather. I put it to this way: I'd rather dump that kind of outrage into something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I feel is probably one of the better games this generation. I'm not saying it's better than The Witcher. I'm saying that it's one of the games that I would consider a generational game. But no, whatever. But you know what? A bit. Let me get your opinion on the Cyberpunk information. Obviously, people are very anxious right now, and Final Fantasy's out, so I think there's people going to be sinking a lot of time into that and getting away from the world for a bit. It's really good for everyone, and Cyberpunk is going to be one of those games that people are going to go into that world and stay there, because that's a 200-hour game at least, from the size of the boroughs, as they call them, because the city, we have 5 boroughs. Well, I'm not in the city, but New York City has 5 boroughs. This has 6, and it's broken down into that landscape where there's going to be a place like the Bronx, a place like Manhattan, a place like Queens, a place like Staten Island. But this is really encouraging to know that they are going full forward with the ideology that September is going to come and this game is going to be released, and then 5 months after that, the DLC is going to be released. What are your thoughts on the confidence that CD Projekt Red has in their talent?
Yeah, so I actually brought this up on it was in a comment section for Mads, Mads Gaming site.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, what do you think about the possibility of this game probably being delayed due to the CV virus? Obviously, I can't say, the word, but CV virus. And he was like, I would not be surprised. Then I had this one dude was like, oh, no, there's no way they'll do it. They'll just release it digitally, screw physical. They'll just release it digitally.
You can't say that. If you look at what happened with The Last of Us, you can't just say screw physical.
You really can't. That's like what, 40% of yourselves? So you don't want to ever release a game in half its glory or a third of its glory. You want to release it in its full impact.
Yes.
And I said this before on I think it was the last show when I was like, we can't predict the market. Like, Sony and Microsoft can't really predict the market. You never really know if the next gen systems are going to launch on time either. When I said that, and a lot of people didn't like what I had to say there, but I was like, listen, it's common sense here. Yep. This market is unpredictable, especially in this crazy time. We don't know if we're going to get half the stuff that we saw before on time. A lot of these companies, even Phil Spencer came out recently and stated that he values his workers.
The safety of the employees is paramount, and it should be. It absolutely should be.
So again, it's like, as much as I'm hyped for next gen, even I gotta look at this with the realistic. I gotta look at this from the reality standpoint. The world's not in a good shape right now to launch anything, to think about it, and a lot of stuff that we're looking forward to is going to get pushed back, and more likely going to get pushed more likely, or not really pushed more likely, but more likely going to be showcased more on the beefier hardware that I really see it. Like, we've already seen Ghost of Tsushima, right? We've already seen Last of Us Part 2. guarantee you when we see it again, it won't look like that. And the reason why, because it won't look like, you know, the way we've seen it now, is that's because they're going to be running on the new hardware. And the same thing goes for Halo Infinite, right? Because I don't think that the earlier shots was Series X. They didn't confirm it. So again, but we're gonna it'll look even better on Series X. Basically, what I'm saying, it's gonna look better.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. If a game does have to get delayed, sure. Is that sad? Absolutely, especially if it's something you're really looking forward to. But to be honest, folks, I think everybody in this chat, everyone that's going to listen to this on the replay, and everybody on this panel has a backlog as tall as 6 feet. So I don't necessarily think that we're going to be like scrounging to play something. You know, we got to remember, this isn't
in terms of games.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
We're eating good. That's the good thing. That's a good triumph for this generation. We're all eating good. We got so many games.
I like that. We're all eating good. I like that. That's good. Yeah, I like that.
It's gonna be even better next gen. Game development is gonna be super fast, much better hardware, more efficient. Oh yeah. So again, this is a dark time, but look on the bright side. There's a bright light at the end of this. There is a lot to look forward to, and I want everybody just to chill, relax, and enjoy your hobby. Don't worry.
Yes, about no, that's a fantastic point. At the end of the day, you know, we have to think of the safety of the people making these games. That, you know, their lives count, right? Their lives matter. They should matter to you. If they don't, I'm not even going to argue that point, because then at this point we're not even going to have a conversation. But right now, like Big Cloud was referring to, we are eating well. We do have lots to play. We have had a significant amount of games release already this year that are taking up tons of people's times. Final Fantasy just released. That's going to be an 80, 90, 100-hour game for some people. Some people are going to look at every nook and cranny. Big Cloud, you do it. I do it. Slow-Mo's already doing it. He's already saying, I'm in 4 hours, and I haven't even started the main story yet. You know what I'm saying?
Resident Evil 3.
Which I beat twice so far on the PlayStation 4, and now that I got my Xbox, well, at least my new my custom gears, I'm going to probably beat that 2 or 3 times. Except this time, I'm going to be saving up my points to get the unlimited machine gun rather than waste my points on the unlimited handgun, which is as useless as 2 tits on a bull. But besides that, but that's besides the point. I want to bring Bad Bit in on this, because besides Cyberpunk besides CD Projekt Red saying that Cyberpunk isn't going to be delayed, which is great, right? They have confidence in their team. They're already used to working remotely. Apparently, they've spent some monies to get all the equipment that their team needs to work from home, and that's awesome. And I want to hear your opinion on that. But you brought up something that I thought was really interesting, that is maybe slightly controversial. There was during this investors call, the PlayStation 5 version came up as a separate SKU. Yep. And this is where, again, we're only speculating here, folks. No one's choosing sides, but it's worthy of a conversation. We know that Microsoft has a system in place. Cyberpunk's developer, CD Projekt Red, came out and said, when you buy this game on the Xbox One, we are giving you the Xbox Series X version for free. You upgrade for free. And now, you know, we don't know for sure if the PlayStation 5 is going to, you know, move forward with the same ideology, or are they going to go old school Sony and make you buy it a second time? Right. And I hope that's not the case. So why don't you take us through what you read and what your opinion on this is?
So first, this comes from Paris from Gamertag Radio on Twitter. He says, CD Projekt Red conference call about Cyberpunk 2077. Rona won't stop the September launch. Digital marketing strategy to replace E3. So that means we're going to see some type of probably a stream of some sort. Digital only launch is possible due to Rona. More PC pre-orders than on console. I think that's a given. Smart delivery for Xbox Series X for free. PlayStation 5 will have a separate SKU. Day one patch being worked on. And then this other tweet comes from Shinobi, and he just deleted it. But let me just see this. Okay, so both Series X and PS5 will have specific versions. CD Projekt Red didn't specify if PS5 will have a smart delivery, put that in air quotes, style-free upgrade if you bought it on PS4, and then he puts in quotes, likely waiting for Sony to officially talk about that. So first and foremost, about CD Projekt Red, launching in September, being confident about that launch. I like to see them optimistic. Of course, I agree completely what Big Cloud was saying earlier. Only time will tell, but it looks like, as long as we keep on staying in our houses, that this, hopefully most of it will be blown over until June, so we'll be out and about by that time.
God willing.
God willing, yeah. And when it comes to a digital launch being a possibility, this always goes back to economics here, and where you see the most profit. So when they look at, they release the Witcher 3 sales, most of the sales were on PC and PS4, and then you analyze that and go, well, how many of those games were digital? Some games fit a digital release perfectly, like, Minecraft Dungeons. So you don't have to have you don't have to rely solely on a GameStop. So it really is a case by case basis. But yeah, what Big Cloud was saying as well is anything outside, I'd even go earlier. Anything outside the April window is now just put a question mark on it.
I agree. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, and I'm even saying that to the Series X and to the PlayStation 5. They're going to tell you the best possible outcome. They're both going to. They're both going to tell you it's holiday. But honest to goodness, the truth of the matter is, when we're now starting to talk about bringing real world into this, doing mail-in voting, then that tells you that the situation isn't completely over, or that it won't resurface by the time the new consoles come out. So to me, optimism is awesome. The thing that worries me as a PlayStation fan is that separate SKU. And I want to get your thoughts on this, because for me, a lot of people were freaking out at the idea of a separate SKU, but I also think that's just for retail and for marketing purposes. So you do want a separate SKU out there. Doesn't mean it's a different code. It just means, hey, it's a different package. So I'm not necessarily worried when I hear companies like Rainbow Six Siege talking about cross-play and cross-progression and working on next-gen stuff already, and how your PS4 disc will work on your PS5. I'm on board for that. I'm just worried that they'll be like, oh yeah, this game will run. Yeah. But they're going to do the, just give us $10 and we'll upgrade you to all that high res like we saw in the beginning of this generation. So, I want to know what you guys and gals think about that.
Well, I'll say this. I'm going to say this. The reason why there is room for doubt isn't because I know some people in the chat like, well, Sony, they're just money making or money grubbing whore masters. Listen, it's a business, folks. Everybody's got to make money. But what I find perplexing is, if you remember, CD Projekt Red came out about a month and a half ago, and they were very upfront about the Xbox version getting the free upgrade. Now, I think that if there was something there for Sony to offer the same thing, they would have said it then. Right? Now, we know that Microsoft has the marketing deal, which is amazing, and that's great. But I still say that if they had something to say about both companies, they would have said yes. Because what they're doing is also hyping up their own sales, which they don't really necessarily need, but getting out in front of this smart delivery system that is really something that Microsoft is proud that they're doing. And we haven't heard anything from Sony. And because Sony has done kind of shady shit in the past, it makes me wonder if that is going to be a separate SKU, and that if you have it on the PlayStation 4, will you be able to play it on your PlayStation 5? Now, I'm assuming you can, but like Bad Bit said, are they going to be like, well, before we go any further, slip your credit card right in the front crack and charge you $10? I don't know. BitCloud, what are your thoughts on this potential controversy with an upgrade version coming at a cost to gamers?
All right, so I don't think we're gonna be charged any upgrade, especially if you bought it. Because last
I
time I
hope
checked,
not.
yeah, I think they kind of answered that with Series X, right? When you buy it already, it'll automatically convert to it when it's cross-gen, something like that. Didn't they say something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
I think Sony would be. It would be smart, at least, if Sony would follow that model and go, instead of going, "Hey guys, yeah, it's separate, $60." Nah, I don't think they'll do that. It's stupid. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna have to pay for upgrade. But if we do that, then we're heading into another wall here, and this wall is going to be one of those ones where, yeah, not even Sony or Microsoft will be able to crawl over, because everybody's gonna look at them weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see the strategy of how Sony handles this. We know that in the past, their marketing and messaging has been very strong. This is a big game. It's going to get a lot of eyes on it. It's going to get a lot of press on it. I really hope that if they were thinking of charging folks to want to wait, because there are a lot of people that are going to be like, this game comes out in September. Do I really want to get first eyes, those virgin eyes on the current console version of this? Or do we wait until, 2 months later? See, that's going to be the dilemma. Can you hold out to play Cyberpunk 2077 those 2 months while we wait for the new consoles? I'm probably going to do that, to be honest. Because at this point, there's going to be so many games to play, hopefully, that it won't be that much of a big deal having it sitting there. Now, of course, like my Resident
GTA thing, like you'll play it early, and again, that's if the systems do get delayed into 2021.
Yeah,
you might look at it and go, okay, this game looks amazing on PS4 and Xbox One X, and then when you get to the next tier upgrades, you go, holy hell, this looks so much more clean. And it's basically GTA 5 all over again, and a better,
because it was a tremendous upgrade. It was such a difference in even they even added the first person mode, if you remember.
Yep.
Yeah. If I could just jump in here real fast, because I got the transcript from the call, and I'm just going to start. It's a couple paragraphs, not too long, or sentences rather. We have an announcement in response for Microsoft Smart Delivery that the Xbox Series X version will be available for players who purchase the Xbox One version. There's no official announcements coming from PlayStation, so we cannot confirm or deny anything. It's PlayStation that first needs to address these issues, and then we're happy to make a comment, but we can't jump the gun ahead of them. In terms of Microsoft's console, we officially confirmed both of the updates and cross-gen availability, meaning that you'll be able to play the game on the get-go on next gen. However, when it comes to a proper, fully blown next gen version, that's going to come later. We have nothing, or we haven't announced when yet, but that it will be available for anyone who purchased the Xbox version from here and now. We cannot really comment on the policies on the first parties before they officially announce them. I cannot address the PlayStation part of the question, so that is really up to interpretation there.
I kind of look at that a little differently than some other people look at it. I think that's essentially that there's an announcement that Sony is going to make in regards to that, and they can't jump the gun and make an announcement on that before Sony makes their proper announcement. I mean, they haven't even really done the full reveal of the PS5 yet. So I think that their policy on that, which will probably be, I think, is going to be similar to Microsoft's policy with Xbox Series X. No one is going to go out there and say, oh, well, this is what Sony's allowing. And Sony hasn't gone out there and said that's what they're allowing yet.
Right.
So,
we haven't even seen the full teardown.
And Microsoft has already come out and said how they're handling these kind of situations going into next gen. So it's easier for CD Projekt Red to go out and say that about them, but they can't say policy changes or what policy things are Sony going to do for next gen, because legally this is not their position to do that. They're a third party publisher. They're not really Sony. So I think it's more of, we can't talk about this yet. not necessarily there's something wrong here, or we're waiting for, because one, CD Projekt Red is not the kind of company that cares about price gouging and things like that. I mean, they run GOG, which is DRM free. They make DLC that is like $15 and it's a tons of content in their DLC. They don't do microtransactions and charge you out.
They give away free digital stuff all the time.
Right. So they would not be cool with, on one platform you can get, if you bought the previous gen version, you get the next gen version for no additional charge. But on PlayStation, you can't do that. They would not be cool with that at all. So if anything, if that was the case, we would be hearing from CD Projekt Red about how disappointed they are with that, because that's the kind of publisher and developer that they are. So I think some of the talk is a little presumptuous, that is what's happening here. I think it's just more with the fact that Sony hasn't come out with their official review of the actual console, their stance, and their whatever new services or policies they're coming out with, and they're just like, we can't jump the gun and talk about things that they haven't spoken about yet.
Yeah, it's
like
obligated
to. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It is like playing it safe, but I do like what some people are saying in chat, like Philly Eagle. Don't underestimate stupid. Listen, Sony knows how to step on a rake from time to time. You know what I mean?
They sure do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I am. I put a comment out on Twitter where I'm not jumping the gun to conclusions, but we also at the same exact time, when we hear whatever the announcement is, we need to hold Sony's feet to the fire and go, yo, you need to change this, just like we did with crossplay, and then they bent the knee. So I do think also that the thing that would probably be the change in policy if they did have the upgrade for $10 is that with Last of Us being delayed till indefinitely, it does lend to the belief that we will see Last of Us possibly as a cross-gen launch title for the PlayStation 5. And if that is the case, then there is an argument to be had for there at Sony of going, okay, listen, we can't charge people twice. That's and we can't make exceptions. So here's the golden rule here. Also, going back to what Shlomo said, CD put their foot, the foot to the ground and announced, this is how it should be, this is how it will be, and we're partnered with Xbox to deliver this, is a powerful statement. And CD Projekt Red is not the same company that they were when they first came into the scene in this generation in terms of size and stature. They're the largest European company out there. So
the richest as well.
Yeah. They have a huge voice to make a change here. And Sony has the opportunity right now to, again, we're not going to know anything until they reveal the console, which is going to be probably in June. But we need to hold them accountable. If this is we're going to charge you $10, we're going to try to charge you 60, because Sony does know when to be stupid, and so we gotta be alert as well.
I mean, I do agree with that. Like, Sony's not perfect. Obviously, they can and will and have made mistakes. I think their handling of The Last of Us 2's release dates and delays have been pretty
atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, like, for you to do an announcement of a release date, and then, like, what was it, a week later?
It was 7 days later.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why would you, if that was even on the table, why would you come out and do a release date? Just shut up. Like, why would you even do that? But, like, when it comes to stuff like this, when it comes to, I think this is kind of very similar to what their stance was with crossplay and cross progression, how they were very resistant to that due to monetary reasons, of course. But then if you look at how they handled Bungie and Destiny 2, and I'm loath to bring up Destiny 2 because I just hear, being cool with Forte means I get to hear about Destiny 2 all the damn time. So, but let me just really get through this example real quick. How Bungie was trying to do cross progression across all platforms for for Destiny 2, and Sony was resistant. But then they looked at how things were going to go, and literally every single platform was going to do crossplay but them. And Bungie was about to announce that literally the day before they made their announcement last summer. Sony goes, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
We'll join this. And it was evident in how Bungie had already had a prepared statement of Sony excluded, and they had to go forward with that because they had already made it all together, and then later on say, no, Sony's in. They let us know they're in now. They understand at this point that we're going into a new generation. You can't be looked at or doing anything that may be perceived as anti-consumer. It's going to hurt you big time. And so I think they understand that at this point when it comes to this particular situation.
And I think when you mean crossplay, I think you mean cross progression, because there's still no crossplay. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Where Sony is right now, they are being very. They understand where they are. They are the market leader, but at the same exact time, they want to keep that market leader position going into the next generation. So, everybody thinks like, oh, PlayStation and Xbox, they hate each other. They're whatever. They're all buddies, guys. They all hang out with each other. They're all sipping Mai Tais with each other. They're all talking shop. They understand. We were talking a little bit about it before the show. Like, when we're talking about something like crossplay, the people that wanted it first and the people that were loudest were people like Bungie. We're the developers, we're the publishers with all these huge games, these games that service games. Developers wanted it. Microsoft saw that an opportunity and said, okay, we're about it, let's do it. And that became their marketing thing, and it stuck. And I saw a lot of my PlayStation friends jump the ship over to Xbox because they were open to the idea of crossplay. So like it worked, and then it forced Sony's hand. Right? And when we shout loud enough, we can make companies turn at a dime. Right?
Yes,
like
absolutely. The power of the consumer is a lot stronger than people give themselves credit for.
Exactly, and you're seeing it with like the Xbox One launch. Remember, like the Angry Joe interview with the DRM and Larry going, "That's not like flipping a switch," and then like the day after they flip the switch.
Yeah,
same thing with the Sony crossplay, right? Like they all say things, we have to make them do things. So
yeah. No, it's listen, I put it, it's gonna, I cannot wait to see. I have a feeling that Sony is going to do the right thing by their fans. I want to give them the proper credit. Real quick, I just have to thank two people. First of all, Sparhawk in the chat just dropped a little nugget of information. If you are a Resident Evil 3 fan, they just released a patch for the Xbox One X where it runs at a locked 60 FPS with dynamic resolution, which is dope. And being I'm only halfway through on that console, I've already downloaded the patch this morning, and I cannot wait to jump back into that. Aaron JF94 drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says this: Sony has unfortunately opened themselves up to speculation. And I agree. That's a great point. And he drops another very generous $5 super chat and says this: Yoshida from Sony complimented Phil for the Game Pass in Japan. Yes, he did. And I thought that was kind of dope. We're actually going to be bringing that up on Tuesday's Xbox Factor podcast. We might even bring it up on Monday because there's supposed to be some new information regarding a particular franchise that coming from IGN. But what I want to talk about next, and what I'm excited to talk about next, is right now there is a rumor floating around the interwebs, made popular by a very big insider known as Shinobi. And the rumor states this: Xbox Game Studios building reboots, gorgeous fantasy worlds, and big sci-fi for future Xbox games. Now, of course, this is very exciting information because it just seems as if Microsoft, in regards to their marketing, is firing in all cylinders. A very big difference from what started out in this particular generation. And I want to say this: depending on who you ask, Microsoft has in fact been playing catch up to Sony's increasingly potent stable of high quality AAA games, with the likes of God of War, Spider-Man, The Last of Us, and many other achieving widespread critical acclaim with both the gaming media and fans alike. Now, without sounding like an alarmist, you have to give credit where credit is due. And Microsoft, well, more so the Xbox game studios for a particular part of this generation have been on their back foot, but to some degree, they have had tremendous success with Ori and the Forza Horizon series, achieving, unanimous praise within the gaming scape. But listen, just about anyone who uses an Xbox console, either full-time or secondary console of choice, we've all been asking for those story-driven, adult-themed, single-player titles that we've seen many times on the PlayStation 4. And in a story that I pulled from Windows Central, they are reporting that a noteworthy industry insider, an all-rounded lovely chap by the name of Shinobi 602, recently offered some small teases about what the Xbox Game Studio fans can expect in the future from the teams at Microsoft. And here is what Shinobi had to say. It is not my place to give details, and my username would be plastered on sites come morning, and it did. So I won't. But I am incredibly excited at what's coming from Xbox. And he says this: gorgeous fantasy worlds, reboots in plural, and big sci-fi titles should be a lot of fun. Now, listen, with all of this amazing Xbox news, we get that Miranda Sanchez is supposed to be unveiling something big on Monday morning that will be, and this is the exact quote from social media, very, very, very exciting and extremely relevant to the Xbox audience. Now, she did answer a fan who asked, can you give us a little bit of information regarding it? And she did confirm that she can't say much until Monday because they are embargoed, obviously, but it's about a particular franchise. Now, what that franchise is going to be has been running rampant in speculation. Now, here's my question to, of course, the panel. And Mr. Badbit, I'm going to start with you first. With all of this amazing Xbox news comes on the heels of the rumor that was reported yesterday morning with IGN's Miranda Sanchez. What, first of all, do you think that she is going to be displaying Monday morning, which everyone is going to be literally waiting like hawks? But more importantly, the fact that fantasy worlds and reboots and sci-fi are all coming in the form of maybe these story-driven, adult-themed, intense graphical games that we've seen on the Sony side of things coming to the Xbox. Does that excite you, and what are your expectations?
I think I'll hit each point real fast. I think Monday's announcement, being the PR marketing guy that I is, I definitely think that they're going to just show one game.
Yes, well, she did say one franchise.
Okay,
she did
one franchise.
That.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. I think it's one game. I think that game's Fable. It's been in development for years now. We talked about it yesterday. It's the worst kept secret. Did. Shinobi's teasing fantasy. He's teasing reboot. That's Fable to me. Playground Games is going to be handing that off. And I think we're going to see more of this as we lead to the final announcement from Xbox, probably in June, about the price and the plan for the Xbox ecosystem going further into the future from the launch of the Series X. So I think we're going to get one. And look, Siri turned on. God damn it, Siri. So I like what Microsoft's doing. Again, like, they're getting me way more excited than PlayStation right now, because they're showing us stuff, the hardcore of the hardcore. I get it doesn't matter in the long scheme of things, because the marketing doesn't kick off until June for these consoles, for the common folk out there. But for me, I'm excited for what Xbox is going to be or seemingly delivering. Phil's promised that he was going to fix this ecosystem. He's, going to restructure some things. He's going to put out some services, and now he's going to go onto the game side of things. And yeah, rebooting franchises like Fable, going into the well that is the rare IP that you have, gives. And then just the original content that you want to make, and we're seeing it out of Ninja Theory right now. It gets me excited for this end of the narrative. And again, I'm the Sony guy here, but whatever. It's the end of the narrative that, Xbox games, all they are Gears, Forza, and Halo, right? Yes. I want to see, I want to see them branch out. We've begun to see that. For me, it was the start with Sea of Thieves and State of Decay and all that jazz. So we're starting to see them step out. Now with all the power and all the numbers or whatever, the thing that I'm the most excited about are the games. And I'm super excited for Fable. So if Miranda Sanchez reveals Fable, the reboot, I'm going to die, because that's one of my favorite action RPGs of all time. That was one of the first games I got on my Xbox. I think it was like Halo and Fable were my go-to games during the 6th generation. So for me, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably the worst kept secret in gaming.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, we all are assuming that it's Playground, which they did say they basically are working on a fantasy RPG. So I think it's safe to assume, without making an ass out of you and me, that in fact is the case. I'll say this: if Miranda Sanchez, who by the way is a fantastic journalist, I believe she's on Xbox Unlocked, if she is been tasked by Microsoft to unveil something as big as Fable, not only is it going to be ballsy, it is going to be one of the most aggressive moves outside of December 12th, with the reveal of not only the Xbox Series X on the Game Awards, but also showing a significant amount of Hellblade 2. And if she does have a scoop like I think she does, we might get more than just a screen title. We might actually see something, because obviously IGN, regardless of your opinion, and I don't hold them to the highest candle that I once did, they have been making strides to make me a fan again, but they do, giving them credit, do it right. When it comes to unveiling games, especially big ones. And Microsoft obviously feels confident with them and comfortable, because Phil Spencer did 2 interviews in a matter of a week. Not only was he on Lock, but he was on Damon Hatfield's show, where I believe it's called Console Watch 2020. And he was on there for about 40 minutes and almost an hour the show before. So they're comfortable with IGN. So this actually sounds right. But, Slow-Mo, are you there, sir?
I am here. Yes,
let me get you. Well, let me get your opinion on this, because we haven't talked in a while, and I do like how you are sensibly approach a topic. And in the topic of Microsoft, they have been a different Microsoft. Now that might be because they had the big marketing change at the head in early December, and the gentleman that took over, who was the gentleman who ran it in the 360 era, it seems to be making a big difference. They are a different Microsoft. They're a more aggressive Microsoft, and they're just doing everything right. And again, you have to wonder what is the motivation behind this reveal? Is it just because it's their third Manic Monday where they put out some big information, or is this an aggressive play for these, the Sony information that we got with the DualSense controller? Are they going tit for tat? But more importantly, what are you expecting on Monday's reveal?
Well, I will say, I've been very critical
and for good reason,
marketing,
absolutely, yes,
for a while, but then I have to be fair. Ever since December, ever since the Video Game Awards, they've been nailing it. They've been nailing their messaging. They've been nailing basically having their finger on the pulse of what the Xbox community is looking for and delivering that. Now, outside of like inside the Xbox being inside Xbox, we know what that's for. I will always say it could be used to do more than what it's currently being used for, but their messaging has been on point, and I do think that we're probably going to see something that is going to kind of push the needle a little bit. Like maybe I don't think it will be Fable or anything like that, because I think that's something that they may like hold off into like
that's
maybe
an E3 announcement. That's why I'm
that's a show ender at E3 kind of announcement. This might be something else. This might be, and I do know, and I've heard Phil say multiple times that we've got so much content coming that we would be doing announcements every time that there is something to like there's an event, or whenever we're having a reveal, we're going to be showing something else, another game that you haven't seen yet. And I think for him to say that multiple times, I think he means that. And so I'm not quite sure what we're going to see. I am excited for it, though. I am excited to see things like Shinobi saying that, because if you look at that Reset Era thread, he's commenting in regards to someone else saying they're tired of this cartoony, really basic art style and all of these games. There are Xbox Game Studios games, and he was replying to that saying, "You're gonna like what's coming soon." And so I believe that. I feel like we're going to definitely going to see something great. Now, I think, is it tit for tat? I will hope so, because I love Sony's petty. I love how they're like, oh, they about to drop inside the Xbox. Okay, 10 minutes before that comes out, show the controller. Like the pettiness, it's like I love it. I love it. It makes me giggle. It's that good. And I would love to see Microsoft, like, not stop taking them on the chin and actually punch back a little bit. Like, oh, okay, all right, well, look. Do a counter to this, show us something else. And I think that's how you do it. That's how you drive interest in your product. I think in regards to that, the next step would be make sure that when you launch Xbox Series X, you're launching it in more territories than, and this might be a little bit of a different topic, but just you take some of this momentum that you're getting and actually put it towards making sure that your product is being seen in more regions and actually being marketed in more regions than what it was with the launch of the Xbox One. Because I mean, when you're launching in half the regions that your competition is in, you're really only fighting for a few territories. So I think they really should be more competitive in other areas as well. But they've worked on hardware. They're working on software. They're working on messaging. I feel like that's something that might actually be in the cards soon. But we'll see what happens.
I also think it's not just like a tit for tat that they're doing. It's more like not convenient. It's not, to me, it's not pettiness. These PR messages are being crafted out months in advance, and I think the reaction of the controller wasn't necessarily, it was happenstance that they dropped it 10 minutes before. I think they were going to drop it this week, and then they saw that there was an inside Xbox, and then they dropped it 10 minutes beforehand. And it was more coincidence than anything, because I think Sony is reacting to the fact that right now it is all hands on deck. Like if you're Sony and we're like, why have they been quiet? And it's, the always the tired excuse that a lot of Xbox fans don't want is like Final Fantasy VII, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima. It is all those things. Cause right now the whole, COVID nonsense that's going on, they don't know when any of these games are happening. So their messages are all over the place for all these games. So I think with the recent announcement of Last of Us being delayed indefinitely, the road to PlayStation Deep Dive did not go the way that they thought it would. For some reason, they thought it would go better. That was, I think, a reaction to people's feelings. I think they know they need to get their message out there sooner rather than later at this point.
I
Yeah.
agree. I absolutely agree with that. I'm going to say this. The one thing that you have to appreciate, even if you are a Sony diehard, like you have to give credit where credit is due. And Microsoft is going out of their way, and they're strategically staying in the minds of gamers, keeping that mind share dominance that they've had almost the entire 2020 campaign. Now, listen, I understand that a lot of people, just a second, boom, I want to see the games. And I hear you, because I want to see the games. But you know something? Phil Spencer, when he was promoted in 2017, has come full circle and delivered on everything. And I keep stressing this. People are like, games, games, games. Yes, and I'm right there with you. I buy probably more games than most people in this entire chat. The amount of games I purchase is ridiculous. And do I want to buy more Xbox games? Sure. Do I want single player, story driven, adult themed, realistic graphic titles? Sure, I do. But you also have to, take a step back, and you have to look at the broader picture. What they've done up until this date, until the morning of this show, has been nothing short of monumental. Not to give them credit and to try and nitpick, well, we haven't seen the games yet, boom, is either being ignorant or just foolhardy, in my opinion. Now, I don't mean to insult anybody, but you got to give them a chance. And once these games come out, like Shinobi was saying, who PS, by the way, is rock solid in his reporting. Like, if he says it, you can guarantee it's good as gold. That goes for same one like Clobriel, for instance. Daniel Ahmad, he's another one. These are industry insiders that, for whatever reason, have major connections to the inside of gaming. And when they talk, like E.F. Hutton, I effing listen. So I'm confident that what he's saying is not only true, it's going to blow us all away. So just take a step back, look at the overall picture before judging Microsoft with the cartooniness, and let them put out the games. But I want to get to BitCloud. BitCloud, obviously, you have a PlayStation-centric channel, and I enjoy listening to it. And on this show, I enjoy having you on. You also, like Mr. Badbit, are fair, in my opinion. Some people may disagree, and that's fine. What are your thoughts on what they're doing with this mind share messaging that they've been since Jarrett West took over in early December? Now, Jarrett West, if you don't remember who he is, he was the lead dog, so to speak, for what made the Xbox 360 in everyone's face. He was, and they got him back, and he's leading the campaign for the Xbox Series X, and it looks like he's doing exactly what he did in the 360 days. For you personally, what are you expecting on Monday's announcement? But are you excited to see these adult-themed, story-driven titles that you are normally used to playing on your PlayStation 4 now making their way over to the Xbox platform?
Well, I appreciate the kind words to everybody in the chat that watched the content. In my recent video when we talked about the controller, again, a lot of people throw shade at Xbox. I did give Microsoft credit at the end. They have done a great job of staying in the gamer's eye, like through every conceivable way you think about it. They showed the breakdown. What's in the box. You've seen the controller. You've seen the console out the gate. So they've done a good job of keeping you, informed in what you're going to get. And again, the rest is kind of just speculation. And that's mostly in the games category. So after yesterday's Inside Xbox, I really need to see what, these big studios are like. What exactly are you working on? The big meme. And again, boom, you already know the big meme is that all they're making is like cartoony games. That's
right. Which is they're going to address that, but okay, I hear what
that's the meme. That's pretty much the meme that they kind of put themselves into. With the CFD's announcement, or not just the announcement, but the CFD's. I would say focus, right? Stuff like that. Like nobody wants that.
Right, Grounded is another one that people were a little upset about. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no real intention of playing the game because it's not my type of genre. Yeah. But with the addition of the single player campaign that's being built as like a real, not a tack on, but a real single player campaign, I would probably play that game.
Yeah.
Also, I hate the notion that like Xbox does cartoony. Like, no, they don't. I don't see that complaint. Like, because not even like Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is like whimsical. Everwild is like this beautiful cell shaded look. Like, I applaud Microsoft for doing a lot of different things, at least from what we've seen so far. Because I was getting tired of the Gears Halo aesthetic. I'm liking that they're branching out and they're doing different things. They're making brighter and more colorful games. Because like power is great and all, but if we're seeing the same brown, beige in every war game that we're playing, it's gonna get boring. I'd rather see that power to, color palettes that would suit it better, like in Everwild. I'm excited for things like that out of Xbox. So again, I can't wait to see the portfolio that Xbox has ready for us. I'm excited personally.
So again, with everything going on in terms of what we got, the Gears, Halo, and Forza, I don't think anybody's complaining about the format of Halo, Gears, and Forza. What they're complaining about is the fact that we haven't seen anything else aside from that. Like you can keep that type of art style, just do something different, medieval type games. Do something cool, like shock us type of thing. That's what they want. They want that type of thing. And this age of gamers, especially when you look at the 360, you remember the dude bro casual comment they always go around, boom. The dude bro. That's kind of always dominated the console generation, aside from the casuals. The dude bro shooters, the dude bro casual type of gamer. They always want those crazy cinematic or insane, looking games. And that's really what they're missing. The whole cartoonish aspect. Granted, again, if you don't like Sea of Thieves or whatnot, Sony has their own style of games like that. They got the Ratchet and Clanks, right? But again, they don't rely heavily on that. They have other stuff. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just variety. Once they fix their variety, or once they add more variety and have a more diverse lineup that actually screams, buy me, then they'll be fine.
I think, to be fair, I think those games are coming. I think that,
as I said, it's just a matter of time, when we'll get it. And I'm not denying that we won't get it at all. Cause again, that would be foolish for me to say that they invested all this money into Series X and then, not a single dime went into a banger, and then that'd be stupid. So of course. But that's what we want. We need that. Yeah, and they honestly need to bring it for sure.
And I think they're going to. I think we're all going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm looking forward to Monday. I've already announced that if something big does happen, you can expect that there will be an Xbox Factor podcast. The length of it, I can't determine. I'll go based on the announcement, and I'll see if I can put some stuff together, because obviously I already do 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I decided to do the extra one, kind of give people something to listen to and get their anxieties off of the world problems. And if I can help in any way, that's something I look forward to doing. Real quick, I have to thank 2 awesome super chats that came in. First of all, Master Jazz 09. Dude, thank you so much for being here. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: do I want single player games on the Xbox? Yeah, sure. Do I want the Xbox to become the PlayStation? No, I don't. And I agree with that. I absolutely agree. I think both consoles need to maintain their own identities, and I think they're going to do that rather well. Nightwolf 3186 drops an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat and says this: hey, Boom, thanks for continuing to do these with your wonderful panel during these times. It just makes us feel good. And as for big new titles, would love to see an epic space RPG a la Mass Effect. And you know something? You might just be getting that information because in that leak, there was talk of sci-fi being discussed as a title, and we got a new channel member, Hassan Abazier. Thank you so much, dude. He just became a channel member, and I do greatly and truly appreciate the support. But as we close in on the 2-hour mark, I want to get everybody out of here because obviously it's Friday. The weekend's about to start. Final Fantasy VII's out. Resident Evil just got patched, and whatever else you're playing, I want to get you guys and gals back to that, and I want to get my esteemed panel members back to doing what they need to do. So let's get into the outros, and I'm going to start with you, Bad Bit. You, my friend, have been a part of 3 shows this week, and you know what? The feedback for your commentary has been nothing short of epic.
Thank you, man.
And I do appreciate the honesty and the integrity that you bring along with you, and look forward to working with you further into the year. And of course, at the same time, helping get some eyes and ears over to your channel, which I think is fantastic. So do me a favor, tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. And first off, thank you for having me on all these 3 shows. It's been technically, we've been hanging out for 6 hours this week.
We sure have. And you know what? I don't regret 1 minute of it.
Exactly. I wouldn't regret a minute of it. You can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. MR Badbit, all one word. You can follow my channel, Badbit Games, over on YouTube, where we talk about all game news, reviews, unboxings, and that's where I host my PlayStation podcast, the Trophy Room PlayStation podcast, on YouTube, on Badbit Games, on iTunes, on Google Play, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, wherever you get your RSS feed service. And yeah, that's me.
Well, listen, it's great to have you on this particular program for the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
And of course, you will be making the rounds on the Xbox Factor podcast when in fact you do have the time. So we look forward to hearing you there. And also, if you're not subscribed, please go to the show notes, subscribe to him. He did a great video recently talking about the DualSense controller, and I think that was fantastically very well done. So
Thanks,
get some
man.
ears on that. Just don't keep people's ears. Just give them back once they're done, because we don't want a Mark Cerny incident.
No.
But BitCloud, who obviously is a part of this show each and every week, it's great to have you on this show and your opinion. And of course, you have your own show on Friday afternoons. I'd like you to tell people about, so they can get in and listen to that. Do me a favor, my friend. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, which, by the way, you've been very active, of course, putting out your own controller, which was dope. And tell everyone.
Relief.
Yes, tell everybody. I don't have a picture of it, dude. I'm so
Let me
sorry.
See.
What's that?
I the group. I don't even know.
Did you? Okay, well, you know what? I'll bring it around. I'll retweet that, because that was really well done. Tell everyone where they can actually follow you on social media, but more importantly, dude, check out your awesome YouTube channel.
All right, well, I will definitely invade primetime gaming eventually. I'm gonna.
Yes, we'd love to have you on. So you just let me know when you're ready.
Absolutely. No, real talk. Thanks for having me. As always, every Friday, RGD podcast, 5 p.m. Eastern time on the channel, Big Cloud Gaming, as well as Twitter, same name, all together like this. And yeah, can't wait to talk about these topics. A lot has happened this week, and yeah, it's a good time. Definitely a good time. But for everybody at home, be safe. Cherish time you got with the loved ones. Make sure you give them a call, and don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. And certainly, last but in no way least, obviously, Slow-Mo, it's great to have you back on the show. It's been a while, and hopefully it won't be too long till you make a return appearance. Love the energy that you bring. Love the fact that you were able to talk about Final Fantasy VII in such depth without actually giving any spoilers away. And I know you want to jump back into it, or at least maybe potentially take a nap so you can recharge those batteries and do another 10-hour stint. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, potentially be backslapped by you on social media, but also check out your awesome YouTube channel.
Yeah, hey, yo, great show, man. Like I love the topics today, the opinions from the panel. I mean, even BitCloud was actually pretty decent today, so that's pretty awesome.
You gotta train you to be what you are.
In the chat as well, it was really some great conversations going on in the chat. Shout out to you guys. It was just a great show. You can catch me on Twitter, same name, Slow-Mo Backslap. I am usually taking the piss out of people and just really having a good time on there. But on my YouTube channel, it's basically just games of regardless of platform, doesn't matter to me. It's just long as if the game is good or a promising game to look forward to, I'm talking about it. My next upcoming videos will be a review of Resident Evil 3.
Nice. My
impressions so far on Final Fantasy VII Remake, and a upcoming promising game that's out and kind of in early access called Bright Memory, that is really looks really, really good. It's a first person shooter, and I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to get into it sometime this weekend and have that video out next week. So I got some stuff in the pipeline. If you guys are into just talking about games and seeing what new is going on and just my opinion on games, period, then go ahead and check my channel out.
Yes, absolutely. And all of their information, if you're interested and you want to subscribe to them or follow them on Twitter, once this posts on my YouTube channel, just click the show link information and all of that information is there. You can get to them with one click of the mouse, and I guarantee you that you will not be disappointed. But I just want to close out the show with a big thanks to the chat. We had almost 300 people once again, which has become the norm for this channel. And I have to tell you, I'm humbled and blown away every time that happens. I truly appreciate the unbelievable support. But I also want to really thank the outstanding generosity that continues to be displayed to anytime I do one of these shows. And I want to thank you, personally, that if you've donated to Double Barrel Gaming, it is truly and honestly and greatly appreciated. And of course, I want to close out with something I do almost every show in honor of my dad, who is my personal hero, who's no longer with us. He told me when we were very small that there are two important things in life. One, treat others how you yourself want to be treated. And the other thing is, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And I can tell you this, you live by those rules, and I can guarantee you are going to have an awesome day. So listen, take care, be safe, lots of love from Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, and we will see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care and have a fantastic weekend. Game on, everybody.